Hi, Samara. My name's Steph, and I'm an assessor for the College of Physiotherapists of Ontario. As I was reading through your pre-assessment questionnaire, I noticed that you work in private practice. Can you tell me a little bit more about your job and what you do?
I work at an outpatient physiotherapy clinic right downtown in Toronto. We see patients of all ages, anywhere from young athletes to older adults following knee replacements. We're a team of 5 physiotherapists. We have a physiotherapy assistant on staff as well as all the other supporting staff needed to make the clinic run.
Okay. As you're aware, you're required to complete this assessment as part of the Quality Assurance Program. And this process is educational in nature. So as we go through the assessment, you may identify areas where you have great strength, and you may also identify areas where there may be some learning needs. Please feel free to make notes throughout the assessment. I'll be taking notes as we speak so that I can accurately reflect what you said and present in a report to the Quality Assurance Program. Do you have any questions about that? I wanted to remind you that this assessment is completely confidential, and so you can't record this assessment or have anyone else in the room while we're conducting it. The college has designed this assessment to gather information about your professional practice and specifically how you apply the competency profile for physiotherapists in Canada and the college's standards and practice to your own practice. Okay. So we're going to begin with a question about communication. It's from the competency domain of the profile. Specifically, 2.3 adapts communication approach to context. PTs are expected to adapt their communication approaches with others to ensure effective communication. For example, a language barrier, literacy level, emotional or physical stress. Describe a situation in which you experienced a barrier to your communication with a patient or the patient's family or caregiver and how you handled that.
I remember relatively recently we had a 65-year-old female present to the clinic. She was referred for physiotherapy following a right total knee replacement, which was done about a week ago. Unfortunately, this lady's first language was not English, and we were notified of it. She spoke Cantonese. We were very fortunate because we have a physiotherapy assistant on staff who can translate for us. She speaks Cantonese as well, so we were very fortunate to be able to carry out the assessment and the treatment for this individual. In the past, I've also used things like Google Translate, which has been fairly effective as a tool to help translate between English and other different languages. I felt this approach was a good approach because the physiotherapist assistant and I have worked for quite a while together, so I do trust her working with her. And in the past, I've also worked with Google Translate, and it's worked well for me in the past.
Okay. I just have 2 follow-up questions.
Sure.
How did this barrier impact patient care?
Well, just the language barrier presented a challenge because the patient wouldn't have been able to follow through with my instructions or what I'd have to notify her of during the objective assessment, as well as the treatment portion of things. So simple things like education in terms of self-management, exercises and instructions for exercises, the message may not have got through because of the language barrier.
Okay. And how did you determine that your communication strategy was effective?
Well, I remember on following sessions asking the patient to reproduce some of the exercises that I had taught her the session before, and she did them fairly effectively and to my satisfaction. So I knew that the tool that we used, which was a physiotherapy assistant, and Google Translate had worked fairly well for me as a communication tool.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the next question.
Thank you.